Welcome. My name is David Sumi, and I'm responsible for marketing at Airvine. And today we are going to introduce you to the second course from Airvine University. If you recall, the first course focused on several chapters talking a little bit about Airvine, a little bit about the product, a little bit about what we do and what problems we're trying to solve. Today's course, we're calling Course 201, Applications Everywhere. So we're not going to spend much time on the product and the box and the buttons and the features as much as we're going to take you through the vertical markets, the top vertical markets that we see from our experience in our talking to our customers. With that, let's move forward. I do want to start with a brief introduction for those of you who didn't see the first course, and then we'll move into the actual applications. Airvine has been around since 2017. We're headquartered in Santa Clara, California, just minutes away from Intel and where Intel was founded, the source of innovation, we like to think. What we're doing is we have developed a very simple indoor wireless Ethernet backhaul. So conceptually, as that little video showed, where before you had Cat5, Cat6 cables running throughout your building, now what we're saying is as you expand that network or you need to augment that network, you can use a wireless approach and have that in your toolkit as well. This system provides well over a gigabit today and will be multi-gigabit tomorrow. And as it says in the text here, MDUs, hotels, factories, and we'll get into that and more, and we'll do each chapter on each one of these vertical markets. The use cases for this in terms of what types of traffic Airvine typically sees, a lot of basic, Wi-Fi backhaul, et cetera, but we also see a demand for IoT networks. There's quite a bit of IoT out there. And IT guys in general are not a big fan of having IoT devices on the same network that they've got all their corporate information. Surveillance and security, temporary events, all of this will go into in more detail. But one of the things that we have noticed in all the applications and whatever building that we're being deployed in, all of these buildings have multiple networks. There's a Wi-Fi network. There's a maintenance network. There's an administration network. There's a 5G network. There's an IoT network. And most of these buildings have separate wires for all these different networks, and it becomes quite complex. And before you know it, the IT guy is struggling to keep them all up and running. One of the beauties of the WaveTunnel approach is that we collapse all those networks into one wireless backbone, multiple applications, one network. Brief look at the product, and then we'll jump right into the applications. The WaveTunnel is a 2-radio box, and as you can see in the diagram, it can be deployed in a point-to-point-to-point architecture for as many hops as you think you need to get the distance or to go around corners or to go through walls. We do operate in the 60 gigahertz band with the capacity to handle Wi-Fi 6, 6E, 7, 5G new radio, femtocells, 4K, and so on and so forth. We also have the latency that we can support these IoT devices and provide that physical and virtual network segmentation. The system is unique, and it's the first 60 gigahertz system that's ever been able to go through walls. It beams around corners with advanced beam storing capabilities. And we'll do a little diagram to explain and show how we're going around corners just so you can understand a little better. As with all wireless, claim to fame, fast installation. There's no conduiting, there's no construction, there's no cable pulling. You mount these units typically high up on a ceiling or on a wall. You plug them in, and they automatically find the next node and provide you that gigabit backbone that you're looking for. All of this fancy hardware and advanced radio systems that we're offering here is powered by our Vine Suite software, which is a complete set of software that allows you to manage, operate, and in the future, implement your own AI algorithms on top of it. So what we're going to talk about in terms of the Airvine benefits, we're going to focus on 5 applications today. The first, multifamily, hospitality, industrial, large venues, and education. Now, across these vertical markets, some of the use cases and some of the value propositions are similar, but each one has something unique about it that requires something in addition from a WaveTunnel network, and we're going to highlight that for each of them. We'll start with the multifamily. When you look at the multifamily, 80% of the US is living in a multifamily complex, and they are typically older legacy networks, and you'd like to upgrade those networks from a Cat5 100 megabit per second, and you want to do it with minimal disruption to the residents. Nobody's interested in having construction and crews drilling and pounding and painting in their hallways. You want to get it done quickly because time is money, and you want to maintain the integrity of your property, and you want the network to be secure. When we look at the hospitality industry, additional guest services, the days of going into your room and plugging in your laptop to an Ethernet jack in the wall, those are gone. The typical guest has 2, 3, or even 4 devices that are getting onto that hotel network, almost always through Wi-Fi or maybe cellular. And so the hospitality industry needs to provide high performance connectivity for these travelers, for this new world. And again, you want to be able to supply additional guest services. You want to be able to supply a network that's just for your staff. And you want to be able to upgrade your networks without closing a floor to do the construction necessary to pull cable. You'll have no loss of revenue as you install a WaveTunnel network. As we mentioned, isolation of OT and IT networks. And this is an excellent way to expand your existing network beyond just the original footprint, which might have been focused on rooms, to common areas, to outdoor areas within the property. Next, we move on to the industrial vertical market. The industrial market is not your father's factory. As if you watch the previous course, we talked a little bit about how factories have evolved, and now they are very information hungry. We'll talk a little bit about Industrial 4.0, what that means, what those applications are within Industrial 4.0, and how that's driving the need in factories and warehouses to high-speed connectivity. What we provided the industrial application, quick and adaptable installation. And this is especially important because these factories are often 24/7. There's no ability to close down the factory or shut off the warehouse while you go in there and lay cable. We're going to lower the cost by doing it faster and more efficiently. And we're going to provide you future proofing for new applications, for big 3D printing jobs, et cetera, that you're going to need either now or in the near future. Large private venues, concert halls, stadiums, arenas. What these all have in common is that they're used in many different ways by many different devices. What one arena, what might be hosting a concert tonight, could be doing a hockey game tomorrow or a flea market the next day. What this means is that the network, the backbone Ethernet network that's supporting these events, is changing event by event. Where you're going to have your point of sale kiosks and your access points for a hockey game are going to be completely different for a concert. And so what you get with a WaveTunnel approach is an on-the-fly adaptable network. You have one set of equipment that you reconfigure, reposition, and move it around for each event. With this network, you can have additional guest access and services, points of sales where you want them to be, and security. Everything is, especially in large private venues, people are very conscious of the need to provide secure and safe environments. Education is the last application that we're going to touch on. And the difference between education and a lot of what you've seen here is that a lot of the dorms or the campus or the areas that education's for colleges or even for junior colleges, upgrading these networks, they're older buildings. And once again, the cabling is legacy cabling. And what differentiates the education market from most of the others is that the students are incredibly bandwidth consuming entities. They're streaming, they're Zooming, they're downloading software, they're gaming, and they can be doing all of this at the same time. So in addition to these heavy users that's represented by students, you have IoT for the usual applications, but colleges are also implementing student tracking as a safety measure. This way, they're low energy Bluetooth, BLE, so that you know where your student is, and so parents can actually feel a little bit more secure that their students are where they're supposed to be. Video security has also become a big application on the campuses in most advanced colleges, and that's part of student safety. With that, we'll end the introduction section here, and we're going to go into our very first application in a little more detail, multifamily.